this is Esther with Discover Your Origins. This is a Research with Me video where I'll be continuing to work on the descendants of Isiah Allen. And in this video, we're going to focus on Mary Lee Commer. Before I get too far, if you want to have a research question that you have featured on the channel, I have a link in the description box below where you can submit it. Be sure to read the disclaimer because I will be editing a FamilySearch profile, and if you don't want me to edit the profile of one of your ancestors, then don't submit it as a research question. But I'm really curious to see what you may have for me to look at. I will be working on those research suggestions starting in the new year. Anyway, let's focus on Mary Lee Commer here. So from Isiah Spencer Allen, we go to Mary Jane Allen, who married Thomas Wesley Commer, and we're going to look at Mary Lee. She's the sister to Effie, who we featured in the last video. So let's go and look at her page. And I haven't really looked at this too much beforehand. I did kind of set a few things up, but there was some things that I wasn't sure about. So the first is her name, and the profile that I started in Ancestry is Bessie Lee, which was based off of her Find a Grave memorial. And in FamilySearch, she is Mary Lee Commer. So that makes you wonder, are we talking about the same person or not? You can see the Find a Grave memorial is a record hint on FamilySearch for this person. And there's a few different thoughts about which name should be the one that's used in a profile. Some will say it should be the earliest recorded name, or if you have a birth certificate, it would be the name on the birth certificate. And sometimes I will choose to enter the name that a person used most often in life, the one that they went by, the thing that their headstone might have on it versus what the death certificate says, just as a way to honor that person's life choice of what name they wanted. But you can decide when it's your family member and you're not really sure, then you pick the thing that you feel is right. In this case, this is a family member of mine. This is a cousin, so not a direct ancestor, but I'm just not really sure yet if she should be listed as Mary Lee or if it should be Bessie Lee. The nice thing on FamilySearch is that you do have the alternate names, and so this Bessie Lee here also helps with record hinting by having an alternate name there also listed. So I've got a bunch of record hints on Ancestry to look at and also some on FamilySearch. So I'm just going to first off look at FamilySearch and do a little bit of cleanup here, because you can see the dates aren't standardized, locations aren't standardized very well. The quality score on this profile is medium, which means there's some data missing. So we've got marriage date missing, birthplace is missing a city. There's source consistency for the most part. The person has a first name of Mary Lee, which does not match the name Mary B, which is what is in the 1930 U.S. Census, and the birth date doesn't match. So there are some things that aren't entirely clear. A person who's a direct descendant who may have known this person or have been told stories of this person would probably know better than we would. And let's see, there's a collaboration note. Okay, this is a really old comment. Let's see. All right, so that doesn't really help us with the name. So let's first look at the records associated with her name. And so you can see here we got Mary B, Bessie, Mary B. I'm not sure where Mary Lee comes from. I'm not going to say it's a mistake because it came from somewhere. But it looks like Mary B, and I bet her full name is Mary Bessie. Let's change that to English here. So let's just change this to Mary B for right now, because that matches the source records that are attached. So we'll just save. Okay. And then let's standardize these birth dates and death dates and locations and stuff. And I'm not sure where this county location came from. I'm inclined to just remove it for the moment. I mean, we don't have... Let's look and see what the Find a Grave Memorials, if it says anything. Let's go to the actual memorial here. There's no birth or death locations. And okay, so that's a headstone with her husband, looks like. All right, so I am going to remove this location here and just make it Mississippi. The family was, the mother, Mary Jane, was in Winston County, Mississippi, and that's where she would have probably been, and not this other location. So then there's nothing here to really, I mean, these census records are just going to stay in Mississippi. So let's just remove that location. Okay. Then let's clean up this other. Oh, we didn't look at the records. Let's see. Oh, there's no source records for the death date. Okay. And again, we don't know for sure if it's Winston County, because Find a Grave, which looks like it may be the only death record, didn't have a location. She was buried in Winston County. So let's just clean that up too. All right, let's attach the Find a Grave Memorial. And put in a reason. Okay, so just doing those few things improved the quality score to high on FamilySearch. So you can see how this tool is to help guide you. And very often it's just a matter of cleaning up the entries here. But this will say, see, there's still some things we can do to continue to improve that. So let's just look down at what we've got here. So here she is with her husband. We've got a marriage date of about 1908. We might be able to find a more complete date. And then we've got several children here. Looks like they lost a child. And okay, let's look at the sources and see. So we've got 1900, 1910, 1920, 1930 censuses, and she died in 1940 before the census was taken that year. We've got a Find a Grave Memorial. We've got a obituary. Let's look at that. Okay. Okay, the obituary is for a daughter, so look at that later. And Social Security record for a daughter. All right. I bet we could find a marriage record. And sometimes a marriage record gets attached to the spouse, but not our focus person. So let's just look really quick. Okay, so there's not a marriage record there. That's interesting. We may need to go and look for one. So I'm gonna put that on my mental to-do list here, but I just want to quickly go through and see if there's any sources on Ancestry that could be of use here. So, all right. We got a picture. Oh, that's cool. Let's look at the picture here. James Whitehead and Bessie Commer. That's probably Bessie right there. And their children. Let's look at this picture. So when she's a younger woman. That's cool. All right. So census records. There's an obituary, probably for a child. Not sure. Let's see. Possibly for her spouse. Okay. She's Mary Bessie in this draft card. Let's see. Mary Bessie Whitehead, wife. I think we could probably comfortably change her middle name to Bessie. We have a Mississippi index to deaths, 1939. Now she died in 1940, I thought. So, okay, so this is an index of deaths, and I don't see Bessie right off, so I'm not sure. Just says Commer 1939. That could be anybody. So I'm actually gonna probably just dismiss that hint because looking through it, I did not see Bessie. And so we'll just say no. All right. So we see Bessie a lot here, Mary B. So I feel reasonably comfortable coming in here and just changing her middle name to Bessie. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. All right, so there wasn't any other records. The pictures were cool on Ancestry. I'm not going to upload those to FamilySearch though, because they aren't my pictures. But so there she is. Let's see if we can find a marriage record for Mary Bessie and James Huddleston Whitehead. So let me come back up here to the top and we'll do a record search. And let's do Mississippi marriage. So we've got county marriages and then this other marriages one. I can't remember which one has an index. So let's see. This is index and images. All right. So let's see. Make sure what I'm looking for here. James Whitehead. So we'll just do a search for James Whitehead. And we want Winston County. Okay, we've got James Whitehead, and there's several. Huh. Miss Bessie Commoner, 1908. I wonder if this is it. Let's take a look. And I bet you the index could have been, ooh, and it's directly to the marriage record. Awesome. All right, we'll have to zoom in here. Let's see. Okay. All right, so this is a J. Let's see what is James Huddleston Whitehead. Okay. So that is an H there. So you can see here the W and then the H has a little curly Q on it. They could sometimes look like a W. All right, so J.H. Whitehead. So that's right. 18 and 21. And Miss Bessie C. Okay, we got O-M-M, or yeah, that's Bessie Commer. It looks like commoner because there's this little extra mark here, but that's an M. Okay, So the license date is 6th of April, 1908. Let's see what the actual marriage date is. James or J.H. Whitehead to Bessie. See here, it's more clear. Commer. 6th of April, 1908 in Winston County, Mississippi. All right. Awesome. Okay. So we need to attach this and we also need to update the date. So you can see here there's a little attach button here and there's one up here. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to just grab the ID for James. We'll come back and we'll attach. It will try to guess. And if it, here we go. All right. I copied the ID just in case it doesn't. But there we go. Okay. Very good. Let's put this on here. All right, so we've already got some marriage information here. It's not complete, so I'm going to delete that later, but I'm going to go ahead and add this complete date here. Evidence of the marriage. All right, that has now been updated. So we'll just come back to the page here and we'll refresh. Okay. So now it's not showing the marriage date here that we just added. So we need to do a little bit more cleanup and we need to delete these other ones that don't really have complete dates. So, and to do that, I'm just clicking on the pencil icon and then I'm going to delete the event. And you can do this in FamilySearch and it's perfectly okay. And I would only do this if I had some other evidence or some reason, you know, to say we need to just remove this. And you do want to put in a reason statement. Okay, so that should, yeah, there we go. We got the complete date. So here we have Mary Bessie Commer. So what can we say about her? She married James Huddleston about 1908. So she was about 16 years old. And if we go back, it says that they have arrived at the statutory age of 18 and 21, respectively, which whether the 18 or the 21 applies to Bessie, again, it's not accurate. And I had read something that said this didn't necessarily mean they were those ages, that they were at least these ages. And we know now that Bessie was only about 16 years old when she got married. All right, so she was very young when she got married. Yeah, 16 years old. So she had her first child in 1909, it looks like, and so she would have been about 17. And her next child was in 1911, so she would have been 19 at that time. And then there's a gap of 8 years, so I want to check that and see if there's not any missing children. And then she had several children, her last child being born in 1937, 10 children. So she was a very young, busy mom for many years there, it looks like. And let's look and see what her husband did for a living. He's probably a farmer. Let's look. Okay, here they are at the top of this page. James H. Whitehead Bessie. He was 30. She was 19. The youngest child was 11 months old. All right, James worked on the farm. Farm laborer. Yep. Okay. All right. So yeah, we could also look and see if they owned a radio. So the 1930 census had a box or column for whether or not somebody owned a radio. It was the first technology related question on a census. It's sometimes fun to see that. If I had to guess, they probably don't, but we'll see. Let's see if they did. All right. Here we go. Okay, Jim H. Whitehead, Mary B. Here's Roy Chesley. Okay, so this column here, home is owned or rented, and it was owned, which is good. And then here's the column for radio set, and they did not have a radio set. All right. It says here age at first marriage was 28 and 18, which we know wasn't quite right, but that's all right. Yeah, and farmer. Worked on the farm. Okay, so I feel like we've learned a little bit here about Mary. She probably went by Bessie. I'm guessing most of the time, and raised 10 children on a farm. Let's see, she died in 1940. She wasn't too old then. She was about 50. Her husband lived till 1959, so a bit longer than her. So her youngest child wouldn't have been too old when she died. But it probably was a difficult life, you know. Farming did not make you rich at that time. They just barely survived. So I hope that was helpful. I showed you a few different things, especially how to find a marriage record. And the way I did that was going to search records here. And I've done enough looking in Mississippi records. I know that they have the 2 marriage record collections, but if you're not sure, you can just start typing in this collection title box here. And it will pull up the collections that are available. And here we have the 2 marriage collections. Unless you're also working in Tippah County, then there's this 3rd one. But start with this top one because it's index and images. I think the second one is indexes only. And then, of course, you have this 3rd one. But you just kind of can click on that, and then you can do your search. And there's the name of the record collection if you're doing a source citation. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. That was kind of fun being able to add some more information to this person. And perhaps next time we'll look at James Whitehead and just look through his records, or we'll find somebody else new to work on. So stay tuned for that. If you'd like to submit your research suggestion to be featured on the channel, there's a link in the description box below. And I look forward to seeing what you have to say. We'll see you next time.